Meow meow. Well, it's gonna be tomorrow. The 3 years no liquor, but already freaking very happy. Although right now I'm still freaking caffeine addict. So there's always something more to change. There's something more to let go. There's always something more to let go. But in letting go, I can gain. Anyway, yeah, I took a nap. Actually, fell into a nap. I don't know for how long. If I fell asleep, I don't know if it's like, I don't know, 1 hour, 2 hours, and later I know that my sleep is not gonna be good because there's gonna be construction, there's gonna be renovation, and I won't be able to sleep properly. So if it affects me, if I fall asleep at work again, of course I'm gonna tell my manager. Yeah. And yesterday I didn't stream because this renovation. You guys would have heard the banging with a hammer. Okay, so what can I do today? Hold on, let me put the live chat on. Right. Anyway, I think I'm gonna upgrade my setup. I'm still thinking about it. I wish they would confirm, home sync. I don't wanna ask people around because I don't wanna be misinformed. There you go, live chat.
Need my help as usual?
It only occurred to me, yesterday. I might be allergic to the polyester socks. Or, the polyester socks do not really, they're not really breathable. So, moisture would be building up in my feet, and that's why part of my foot is always very itchy. And I don't know, knowing that the logical thing to do is to buy cotton socks instead of polyester. But me, My notion is that cotton socks are always more, they're always more expensive. And no, I don't like that. I don't like that. Although to fix my problem, I have to. I wonder if it's strictly, if workplaces are strict, those that have a dress code, if they really require the thin kind of polyester socks, or they will allow the cotton. I don't know. I mean, even with shirts, I prefer cotton because cotton is what do you call this? Cotton is very breathable.
Insignificant pest!
Nice and spicy.
At my command, you shall fall! Feeble human!
Come a little closer. Lift.
I'm surprised, man. I swear it's for medical research.
Insignificant pest!
Try not to.
Boba, get them! Think you can bully me?
My endless cycle begins!
I have some for you too.
Frick. Auntie Lisa is down. Or a man down.
Feeble human!
Nice and spicy. You're toast.
Insignificant pest!
Calm down.
Come a little closer.
At my command, you shall fall!
What the frick?
Carried away.
Man, I'm so bad at this.
It's the fire.
What the frick, my Boba never reaches this thing. Koba.
Feeble human!
There we go.
Can't handle your drink.
Churn!
Pew-pew. Nice and spicy.
My endless cycle begins!
Now I'm mad.
23.
Boba, get them.
Insignificant pest!
Go. Calm down.
You've been a naughty boy.
Feeble human!
Nice and spicy.
You're in for a little shock. Blitz.
At my command, you shall
You
fall.
might feel a little prickly. Yeah. I'm right here.
Perish!
Come a little closer. You've been a naughty boy.
Nice and spicy.
Insignificant pest!
You're in for a little shock.
I'm a rock.
Churn!
Yeah, maybe I should. You know, the thing I was looking at the other day, I never ordered it.
I am the all-knowing
I
God.
don't really see... I don't see myself using it like very heavily in the next... I don't know.
Burn to oblivion!
For the foreseeable future.
Look at you, Blue Down. Yeah.
Kneel!
Boba, get them. I'm a rock.
You know, maybe I should have just fielded Noel.
Reality is pain!
Get them. Go, go.
Do I have another character when that even comes close to Saint Vini? In terms of HP, I don't think so.
Good riddance!
Ano kaya nito?
Come a little close. You're in for a little shock.
You can bully me. Don't slip and fall. Yeah.
Come on, Saint Vini. Frick, I wasn't able to switch
God
fast enough.
awakens.
But they got her.
Eyes open.
Got a man down.
Your eyes have been opened. Kneel!
Oh, got another man down. What the frick?
Now, your eyes have been opened.
Boba, get them.
Why do I feel like this thing has become more powerful than before?
Wibbly wobbly.
I didn't even level up my world
Kneel!
for quite some time now.
Think you can bully me?
Reality
Floaty Molly.
is pain!
Pew, pew.
Burn to oblivion!
Yes, we got him.
Lose it all again.
Come on, give me the thing. It didn't give me the thing, OMG. It's like all that for nothing. You know, the thing about me liking someone, I want them to end up with someone who's, who has a bigger salary, who is more stable. That's why I want them to be with someone better, but I don't want to better myself. I don't want to improve myself. I just stop there, and just say, I want them to end up with someone who's better than I am. But it doesn't occur to me to really become better. Or maybe slowly. I mean, I really don't know how to become better. I don't know. I should listen to people when they say things. I mean, at work it's a given. I'm not gonna be hard-headed if you tell me something. If my manager tells me something, or one of my superiors tells me something, that's a given that I gotta do it. But in my personal life, yes, that's my weakness. Personal life. It's like I have no real life. Lol. It's not that I don't know. That's the thing, because I don't know. I'm not an expert at life. I'm not gonna pretend that I know what I'm doing. No. Hello. Every time I say, when I express that everyone else is like doing better than I am, I'm not putting myself down. I'm trying to think about why are they doing better than I am.
Got a job for me?
I mean, I know that I do things, a lot of things the wrong way, and I think about things the wrong way. I have a lot of mistakes. I have flawed thinking. Other people can see the bigger picture. That's what I mean when I say that everyone else is doing better than I am. I wanna learn. Even the younger people can be my sensei.
Surrender and I'll be gentle.
Hey man, I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. I didn't get good night's sleep yesterday because, renovation. It's so noisy.
I taste blood.
And yeah, I'm already... it's actually tomorrow. Tomorrow's my, it's that, the last date I freaking drank.
I swear it's for medical research. Hold still. I'm the right.
No, not really. I'm okay. You know, what's worse would be if I slept that early and then I'd wake up early as well. You know, I'd end up being sleepy at work. That's what I'm avoiding. I wonder. You know, security is pretty tough. I don't know if they'll let this through. I really want a freaking back brace. Because I have no self-discipline. I'm a sloucher. Anyway. Man, I didn't get that thing for Dea. I worked so hard for Dea last week. And then even get that one. This one. Oh, what a pity. You know, I wish I had like reusable face masks. Because I can really see the dust at work. And you know, I don't want the tube masks. I want it to be small so that, you know, it's gonna be easier to do the laundry. That's why I like small things. It's easier to clean. It's gonna need less. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. You know what it is. Keep on rolling, baby. You know what time it is. Shit. Okay. Actually, craftable. Oh man. What day is it? Is it Tuesday? Well, I don't know what day it is. Okay, it's Tuesday in the Philippines. Alright, partner. Keep on rolling, baby. You know what time it is.
I got you, boss. Armed and ready.
Man is dumb. I wonder if blunt weapons do better on these things.
Look alive! Hi! Yeah! Stop right there! Lola, get them! Race you!
Anyway, I'm gonna ramble later.
Nice and spicy!
Yeah, I think I'm actually gonna have to talk to a freaking traffic enforcers for my question. I wanna ask if a certain kind of electric bike is allowed on the road. Like freaking legal.
Nice and spicy. You asked for it. Brace you. You're dead meat.
Anyway, shit. Ain't no one's gonna tell me what's legal, man. I mean, no electric bike. So I will ramble right now. So anyway, of course I've been looking at this. It's pretty cheap. And then I already asked the MMDA and the LTO about it. They haven't answered me. I think one of those pages like just, and then I already just put my message on scene. LTO is the one that issues driver's licenses, and then MMDA are the ones who they're the ones who enforce the law. So they're like traffic enforcers, street sweepers. Man, I'm never gonna get my answer from them. What the frick? Come on, man. Come on, man. I'm inquiring. They're not answering. Frick. If I work for the government, that I won't be like that. So, I have a story from back in 2020. Can you, hold on, what am I gonna say? Well, actually, they work overtime. I remember doing like a tax bill for my boss back in 2020. And then the city hall was still full of customers in line. One of the government employees told us that they're not gonna go home until they finish with everyone. And then, I don't know what time they went home. They're supposed to be closed at like 5 p.m. But I think they stayed until midnight. I don't know. I'm not sure if midnight. know, they're not all bad. Yeah, I know you don't know about the cities, man. But, you know, I gotta give credit where it's due. You know, I'm not gonna say that all of them are bad. That would be stupid. That would be stupid to say, and it would be irresponsible to say that because it's not true.
Drop your weapons. Let's get it on. Loba, get them.
You know, even if I don't like a person, if I see something good in them, I'd freaking point it out. And you know me, there are a lot of people I don't like. I don't like a lot of people.
You asked for it. Look alive. Hi. Final warning.
Oh, frick.
You asked for it.
Oh, frick, I almost wasted Goba. I set fire to rain, watch it burn, rain. Lancer Tactical. You know, I didn't know that Lancer Tactical was based in California. Yeah, I think they're based in California. No, I'm not of legal age. Just kidding. What an R-word. PL. Yeah, California. Man, wish I worked there. Wish I worked for them. Because I believe in their way of thinking. They get the cheapest manufacturer. You know, I don't know why people like to talk about procurement, especially about military procurement. It's like they're experts, man. Who are you, the chief of staff? Who are you? Are you from the supply command? Frick. Are you from logistics? What the frick are you talking about procurement if you don't know nothing? Are you gonna use your own money? Don't you know that taxpayers' money is premium? Man. Yeah. Although, I also have this way of thinking that, never mind. I think that the Department of Defense or the Department of War would love to have me as their procurement, because I don't steal and I go for the lowest bidder. I mean, if they pass the selection, then why not? Why not go for the more economical one to make good use of taxpayers' money? Meow 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 meow. But what do I know? I'm no expert, man. Hello. Oh wow. I don't know what time I'm gonna go to sleep and if I'm gonna get good night's sleep with all the noise later. Damn. Did I already? Oh frick, there's another update. What the frick, man, I hate that. Well, that gives me an excuse to play single player instead of multiplayer. I haven't played single player in a while. You guys were watching me just freaking lose all the time on Warhammer. Anyway, it's very good that I freaking fixed some of my guitar cables because I can use them now. My motive is actually on the floor. It used to be right beside me. Now it's on the floor where it should be. Although it's powered by the grid, not by my solar, so freaking hell. Well, the power consumption is negligible. But you know me, I like to... I mean, if I can save on it, then why not? Anyway, of course, I uploaded the freaking, like a stone guitar cover. You know, if I were a bar owner, I'd ban Seven Nation Army. You know, I was supposed to watch the Resi movie yesterday, but I don't know where to watch it. I can feel vision. But I've forgotten how to play it. You can run, you can make this one what you want. You can run, you can run, you can run. Starships need to fly, and touch the sky. No. No, 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 no. E, F. Starships, let's have fun. Hands up, we'll touch the sky. Every time I see you fall, you guys can hear my pick scrape. You know, I haven't had an expression pedal since I was, yeah, I think since 2018 or 2019. I was still studying back then. And I sold my guitar effect because I knew that I was gonna graduate and I needed to go to work. And you know, really I sold it so that I'd have beer money. And that's the truth. I sold it so I'd have beer money back then. Yeah, that's the truth. You know, I shouldn't make the excuse that, you know, I'm graduating. That's not true. I sold it so that I'll have beer money. I wanted beer money and I was, you know, generally giving up on life. And that's what I did the next 2 to 3 years. Just a small town girl living in a lonely world. I haven't heard that song in a while. Man, I'm losing. but look how far we've come. Yo, the Bretonians are crazy. They're going way north. Lol. That's pretty funny. Yo,
King Lewin Leoncoeur.
the French are going to Greenland or something. No, I'm not paying attention to the game. I just want this to be done. What the frick? The reason why I played single player was that so this can continue. Don't confuse, baby, knows you're wrong, Alright, so 2%, what the frick? Yeah, let's play ranked. You know, I like that oscillation. Wow, 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 wow. Can you hear that oscillation? Wow, 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 wow. I like that. Anyway, dwarf 900. I can get that part. I don't know if that's correct. Making mama so proud. Big deal, it's all plants. Enjoy yourself. Doing what you need from it. A family of trees wanted to be on it. Love yourself. Doing what you need from it. Of trees wanted to be on it. You're a racist. If you think that's racist, you're the racist. We're gonna get cancelled. I think that's a Metallica song. I don't know. I don't listen to Metallica. Lol. How people who don't listen to my negative, your negative. Muse actually did it or did it before Bullet for My Valentine. Dun, 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 dun. No, I really need I need bandmates to cover up the pull off of the zeros. I don't remember if those are the correct notes. I was in high school back then, but I don't know anymore. Chugga chugga chung chung. Chugga chugga chung. Chugga chugga chung. Chugga 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 chung. You're on the trail. You're on the trail.
Disgust!
Gotta reload faster than that.
Stan eta uskel! Raaz abdu! Drafjan! Dead! Ut idu!
Yo, I had my fill. Oh, hell yeah. That made me kind of... I don't know. You know, I can't even imagine myself practicing guitar when I was drunk. Maybe I wasn't doing well with it. Bro, we're trapped. My men are trying to retreat, but they're trapped here. Look at them. The red ones, they're trapped. That's so unfortunate. Oh. I'm gonna bombard my men's position. Hell yeah. Sorry, boys. Oh. We're doing a big bomb instead of a cluster barhead. Oh, What the frick? It just stood up again. Man, that's so unfair. Wow. It's a good thing my Lord is very tough.
Jar unazad! Ahito dema! Anskarkilu!
Hell yeah. Come on, stay. We're gonna get a lot of those wolf rats. Oh man, yun lang. Hell yeah. Oh no! I think they saw it coming. Or maybe they were making use of the charge bonus. Oh no, yeah, they saw it coming. Oh man, there's still a lot of them. Maybe they're annoyed with me because I won't give up. I won't give up. Nah. To the death. No, that's friendly fire. Let's get the... These players are probably annoyed with me. It's almost over. We actually did more damage than the Skaven. If we can look at them. Well,
Afessa el Gramus! Utshad ulzuk it! Ustakara Britnatu! Ja! Unasan!
damn, they're getting slaughtered.
Stand as the Oskud!
Oh man. Well, that was fun doing damage. Especially with the cluster rockets. also one more thing I wanna confirm with Homesiang about their product. I wanna know if there's a low voltage protection. They never got. Oh, I never inquired about that one yet. It's like I don't wanna play multiplayer right now. But let's go. Yeah, I didn't order the oscilloscope. Maybe because it's pretty expensive and I don't wanna. No. I think I will be using it a lot. But just like my chronograph, I use it a lot. But in terms of like making money off of it, I don't think so. I'm not gonna be able to make money out of it. I might as well just buy resources to make patch cables, just like I did more than 10 years ago. No, that became a good source of income for me back when I was still studying. Before someone took all my money and I couldn't do anything about it. Took my life savings. No, some of it was my allowance, some of it I got from my sideline. I wonder if I also let a lot of people down, those people who bought from me the patch cables I used to make. Maybe they were wondering and then they asked around. They knew what happened to me, going down with the alcoholism and stuff. And not practicing the course I finished and getting odd jobs. I didn't make good use of what was given to me and what I worked hard for, just because I keep on listening to the wrong people. Lol. And being a snowflake. Anyway, that sounds sad, but the important thing is I don't go back to that kind of thinking. No, I've been allowing fear to control my life for a very long time. Listening to a couple of freaking misinformation peddlers. Sometimes I'm also misinformed, I also say wrong things sometimes, and I would say, mali pala ako, I was wrong. But, you don't always get the chance to do that. To correct your own mistakes. Okay, so looking forward, uh, uh, looking in the future, when I become stable again, because, I'm gonna be out of work, so I'm already planning my expansion of my solar setup once I get stable again. I don't know. I don't know when I'm gonna do it. Maybe in several months. At least I'm looking forward to things now. Instead of before, when I let fear eat me up. Wow. It's been a year now. It's been more than a year since I abandoned that behavior. That behavior of just freezing and staring at the wall. Laying in bed staring at the wall, sometimes crying, most of the time paralyzed in fear. Yeah, that's good. Imagine if I stopped that behavior earlier in life. I'd be more stable right now. Anyway, I'm gonna get a drink. I don't know if water or coffee.
Time to earn our stories.
Anyway, I don't wanna burst other people's bubbles. I don't wanna ramble about Sangyupsal. Lol. Short plate and bacon. Man, look at that. I would make it like medium rare instead of well done. Man, that's gonna be great. Hell yeah. Shit. Meow meow.
Come on, chop chop.
Pork chop. Yo, get out of there.
Grenade out.
Frick. I think I hurt him with my grenade though, so that's fine. You know, I don't wanna eat raw. I don't wanna eat raw anymore. There's so much bad stuff in there. Pesticides. There might be parasitic worm larva and eggs. What the frick? Why am I ruining things for everyone? And I don't want them to be sucking up the freaking nutrients that
Do this. Get back in
are
time
supposed to
now.
be absorbed by me. But I have to admit, you know, yeah.
Fire in the hole. Incendiary out. Decoy. Smoke.
Yo, I can barely feed myself, bro. Why would I wanna share my nutrients? You know, I used to make salads with lettuce. But when I learned about them, you know, I stopped doing that. Well, I didn't really stop. Sometimes I still would. You know, freaking a risk I was willing to take. The freaking my ruining stuff for other people.
Decoys out. Laying down smoke.
Oh, and they used to be a diet.
Throwing grenade. Incendiary. Laying down smoke.
Didn't they used to be used for slimming down?
Counter-terrorists win.
You know, I learned from the Ripley's Believe It or Not that they used to be people were using them to slim down. What the frick? You know, there's another kind I saw from a documentary. I forgot which one. I think pinworms or something. People intentionally infest themselves to yeah. No, I think I saw this from a documentary. But then please verify yourselves. I don't want to be spreading misinformation. Hay fever, things like that. Suppress allergies. why you might want parasitic worms. What the frick?
If your doctor told you that you were infected with worms, your first question would probably be, how quickly can I get rid of those worms in me? And I get that. I mean,
Yo,
look, you don't want worms wiggling around inside your intestines. It's enough to gross anybody out. But what if I told you that you might want to have parasitic worms inside you? Because some doctors have found a connection between having worms and not having immune system problems like allergies or arthritis. The idea is that these worms have set up shop in our bodies for so long, evolutionarily speaking, that our immune systems might have gotten used to them, to the point that being worm-free can actually cause its own issues. It's part of the hygiene hypothesis, which was proposed by epidemiologists back in the 1980s to explain why allergies and autoimmune conditions like asthma are so much more common today than they used to be. According to the hypothesis, people's immune systems might be out of whack because we're too clean. Filtered water didn't exist for an awful long time, let alone hand sanitizer stations. So for much of our evolutionary history, everyone was constantly exposed to things like bacteria and parasites. It's your immune system's job to keep these things from settling in and harming you when they get inside. So when it finds something foreign, it defends your body by triggering inflammation, that hot, red, swollen achiness. These symptoms can happen because the area is flooded with an army of white blood cells. The compounds they release either attack the foreign material or call in reinforcements. But the compounds that do the bulk of the attack don't just target invaders. They can harm your own cells too.
yep, that's allergy.
And your body can get caught in the crossfire, which causes damage and pain. Allergies, for example, are a special case of inflammation where the body is overreacting to something that's usually harmless, like pollen or dust. And autoimmune disorders come from parts of your own body triggering inflammation, like rheumatoid arthritis, where joints basically become permanently inflamed, or multiple sclerosis, where the immune system attacks the protective coating around nerves, and sometimes the nerves themselves. These conditions are becoming more common these days, especially in wealthy nations.
But you know, I'm no doctor, I'm no physician, so I don't talk about these things with people. I'm just sometimes I find it interesting how people like freaking give medical advice and legal advice without knowing stuff, you know. That's why we have people who keep on saying that freaking airsoft is illegal. What the frick? Some people think that, you know, we need licenses and it's freaking illegal possession of firearms. What the frick? Read the law, man. Read Republic Act, Comprehensive Firearm Law.
Where you would think easy access to high-quality medical care would prevent them. That's where parasitic worms, collectively known as intelligence, come in. This group includes things like tapeworms, nematodes, and flukes, which steal nutrients to survive. Most get cozy in another animal's intestines or blood. Some species cause pretty severe symptoms, like the worms behind schistosomiasis, which can cause anemia, liver failure, bladder cancer, or other awful conditions. But many others don't. Like, if you had a tapeworm right now, you might have no idea.
Man, I don't want to share my nutrients, man. You know, food is not cheap, man. I don't wanna share it with freaking Mr. Tapeworm, man.
For those more benign species, the fallout that can come from launching your immune system nukes at them can be worse than the damage from the worms themselves. Which is why some epidemiologists think that our immune systems have evolved to function with certain parasites to some extent. That might sound kind of backwards, but studies have found that rates of asthma and allergies are higher in places with fewer parasite infections, like those with more sanitation and access to healthcare. Even though treatment is obviously worth it when the worms are causing health problems, Other research has suggested that getting rid of parasites can have unintended side effects. For instance, in a 2006 study, ridding 317 children from Gabon of their intestinal parasites made some of them have an allergic reaction to mites. Similarly, a 2011 study looked at more than 2,500 Ugandan women, some of whom
Bro,
were
help
treated with
me, bro.
deworming meds while they were pregnant. While the treatment helped prevent potentially serious complications in both adults and babies, it increased the likelihood that the kids would have eczema or wheezing, both symptoms of allergic responses. And a small study of 12 multiple sclerosis patients found that those with worms had less nerve damage over time. But when 4 of them were treated, their multiple sclerosis symptoms got worse. It seems strange that having a parasite infection could keep you healthier in these specific ways. So to figure out why this pattern exists, immunologists have looked at how our bodies respond to helminth infections. They've found that some parasitic worms seem to make our immune systems kind of hold back by releasing anti-inflammatory signals that make it so our bodies don't go overboard trying to deal with the parasites. At the same time, they're also reducing the inflammation that leads to
Philippines. Buy me Big Mac, buy me Big Mac, buy me Big Mac.
Okay.
Okay, buy me Big Mac. From McDonald's. Man, I freaking sound like a... This stream is brought to you by capitalism. Just kidding. You know, as if it's a bad thing. Psyop. Psyop.
autoimmune conditions and the overreaction to allergens. Helminths could also spur the production of regulatory T cells, which recognize parts of your body that might trigger inflammation and turn down the response. These cells normally keep your immune system from staying in attack mode after the invaders are already dead, or from freaking out in response to harmless stuff like pollen. And this was seen in those 12 multiple sclerosis patients. Those with parasites had more regulatory T cells recognizing a protein that triggers the attack of neural tissue, which could be why they had less nerve damage. Doctors are trying to figure out what it is about the worms that triggers these regulatory mechanisms. That way, they might be able to turn the compounds involved into treatments for all kinds of autoimmune diseases. It would be like the benefits of the worms without all the worms. To be clear, we here at SciShow do not recommend infecting yourself with worms to try and cure your tree nut allergy, unless your doctor prescribes them, which is kind of possible. Some doctors are putting the hygiene hypothesis to the ultimate medical test, clinical trials. Most of these trials are still in the early stages and results are mixed, but some researchers remain hopeful. We already know that our health depends on tons of other organisms that live on and in our bodies, so maybe parasitic worms are just part of that, just a lot bigger. But again, we are not recommending that you stop washing your hands to walk around barefoot around a lot of human feces.
I think that's how you get hookworms.
Young CIA up in this bit. You already know what it is. Ronald Reagan forever. America forever. The streets. Money. Violence.
Guns.
Eliminate your own people because it's cool to destroy your own community. Do it with handguns, SMGs, assault rifles with military-grade attachments.
What the hell?
Destroy your mental health with alcohol and drugs. Cope with hypersexual behavior and suppressing your emotions and trauma. Disrespect black women. Disrespect black women that raise black men. Call them disrespectful names and embarrass them. Humiliate them. Promote gang culture and tell the youth how it's okay to kill one another over colors and street corners. Being in a gang is a homosexual thing, but make it masculine. Hanging with men 24/7 looking for problems with other men? Yeah, totally not gay. Just gay. Be financially irresponsible by buying designer clothing and fake jewelry. Do not invest. Do not buy land. Do not pour into your savings account. Go pay for a woman's BBL. Women, go get a BBL. Even though the mortality rate for BBLs are very high and women usually die on the table during their procedure. Did I mention black on black crime is cool? Drinking liquor and doing drugs and destroying your mind is cool? Disrespect all the women. Never make the hood yield. Keep the prisons filled. Ronald Reagan never died. He issued record deals. Guns, drugs, violence. Guns, drugs, violence. Guns, drugs, violence.
Nice.
Thank you for the weapon, sir. That is a big weapon. I need more bullets. Thank you for the weapon, sir. I like big weapons.
My English is bad.
It's okay.
We kill them and then we go home.
Did he say that his English was bad? What the freak? Violence. Guns. Oh. Violence. And they say that metal is the devil's music. What the frick?
Run that back, Turbo.
Make a man and yama move. Any man and yama move. Then you understand I knew. Anything must I knew. Did the yabba dabba do? Did the yabba dabba do?
Hey, yo, do my jam.
Yabba sue. I mean, and yabba sue. Yeah. Make it rain. Ay. Make it human rain. Ay. Make it human rain.
Yo.
Hey.
Hey. Hey, yo. Hey, yo. Sing to me, baby, in my head right now. In my head, I see you all over me.
快过来了。
Fulfill my fantasy. We screaming in my head, in my head, in my head. What the frick? Nibini yabba dabba do. Nibini. Then don't they have like freaking used or second hand? I want second hand. Yo, I don't think this one is legit. That's the one to be true. They're gonna give you one with a lower wattage. No. You know, I think the battery na I got, and it became more expensive these days. So I'm pretty glad I got them last year. How about oh, it's still expensive, you know. When I got mine, it was almost half the price back in 2024. Yeah, it's more expensive now. Hey, what the frick? Oh, this one is pretty cheap, but the website doesn't work.
Welcome guys, I'm going to cover this little B75 based 8 GPU motherboard just because honestly the little clips I've done on the other cheap China motherboards that I bought recently have actually done pretty well. So you're looking at it right now, mining with 7 GPUs. I have had 8 on it, no issues.
Man, guys, I don't do that. I don't do crypto. I don't do freaking stocks. I have no idea, man. I don't gamble.
Really, all you need is a stick of DDR3 RAM and a CPU cooler, and it works out of the box. So the BIOS is already set to auto power on. It's got USB 3 and USB 2 rear and front headers. It's got HDMI and VGA video out. It's got Ethernet on it. It's got the ability to be powered by ATX and EPS or by 2 6-pin PCIe connectors, which I'll show you in just a sec. It's got 2 fan headers, it's got all solid capacitors, and it's got a physical power switch on the lower front corner of it as well. So this thing clocks in at a whopping $69, and I'll pull up a photo and let's go over exactly what makes it tick. Well, hey guys, now that we've had a brief look at the motherboard actually installed and mining, I want to kind of go over a photo of it build build style, just to go over a few other interesting things about it. Obviously, we're seeing USB ports on the board itself, and these no serial bus, they're just used like a riser to transmit that
Wow, look at those.
PCIe by 1 signal.
I wonder if I can use that for gaming.
So you can.
No, I think more components means more consumption, so I don't like that. I want it to be just enough for what I can get away with, for what I need. One USB 3 slot for my video capture card is enough.
Run 8 GPUs right off of this board right here. They do have a version that I saw a while ago, but I haven't seen it for sale recently, that supports 12 GPUs. You will find a B250 version, which is a 6th and 7th gen Intel 1155 board that has 12. A little bit more money, you won't see these boards right here. You won't see PCIe. But other than that, it's a fairly similar looking board. The reason why I wanted to cover this one, though, actually, I think a little bit more interesting. So these 2 6-pin PCIe connectors, when I bought the board, I really thought that this was for supplemental power for the risers, for the actual GPUs, and it turns out it's not. So what this is, with this jumper right here, if you move it from the default position, which is 2-3 ATX power, to 1-2, you can actually get rid of the 24-pin ATX and the 8-pin EPS, and you can power the entire board and CPU with 2 6-pin PCIe connectors. So it would run like a RevTech board, essentially. That's what I'm getting at. If you have a server power supply and you don't want to buy those expensive breakout boards, that's actually a pretty cool option. So that combined with, you could run a boot drive off of mini PCIe, or if you're motivated enough, you could run a mini PCIe to PCIe adapter and run at least one more GPU off of this, and it's pretty likely you could put a splitter on this and run 12 GPUs on it. I haven't done that. I don't think it's really worth it on this board. I will notice that it has all solid capacitors, which is great. I'm not sure what kind of quality they are, but this thing should actually handle humidity pretty well. VRM is fine for the Pentium or Celeron that it comes with. The AliExpress and Amazon listings all include a Celeron or a Pentium. This is an 1151 system, so...
How old are you?
No, it is 1155, I think. But anyway, this is like a first or a second gen, I think, core series based system. The dual core processor it's going to come with is more than enough to handle mining tests. You won't want to do CPU mining on it, it's pretty slow. But 2 DDR3 RAM slots. It does have 4 SATA ports. There is a physical power switch right down here. Mine was broken, but there is a regular conventional header which is labeled. It has USB 3.0 on the back and the front, which is really cool. USB 2 header. So I mean, this thing, you could use it for like a retro gaming system when it's all said and done, which is kind of nice.
Bro,
How old are you?
I'm a grown man with a voice changer. But not too old to be your father.
Does not come with an...
You know, I could be one of your cousins or your uncle, and you wouldn't know about it. Although I doubt it because you sound Chinese. I'm Filipino. Meow meow meow.
I/O shield. The integrated graphics is VGA and HDMI.
Huh? I'm Atamin.
So you don't have to worry about those older, like BioStar boards with a CPU that only have DVI and VGA. It's kind of annoying. It does.
You know, I actually refurbished a PC with a BioStar board. And it was bought by like a manager from Max's restaurant. So I don't know if they're still using it. I hope it survived.
It does have Ethernet. I don't know if it's 10100 or gigabit. And then 2 USB 2.0 ports on the back. Since these are usually shipped via Slowboat, it does typically come with a CR2032 battery preloaded, which is nice. The V250 versions usually don't. So they're being rushed over from China in massive quantities right now. Yeah, this board, I seriously just put a heatsink and fan on it, put some RAM in it, plugged in the GPUs, and away I went. The main purpose of the video, again, was to tell you about this jumper, which gives you the settings right here, actually, for powering it. I may give that a go at some point, but right now it's just being powered with HDX, as you saw earlier. So, anyway, hopefully that was a little bit insightful. I know there's a couple other little videos on this board out there, but nothing too crazy. So I've had really good luck with it. Works on AMD and NVIDIA GPUs. I'm sure it'll work fine with the upcoming ARC series of Intel chips as well. But fascinating pickup for, I think, $69 delivered. So I'll leave a link to it down below if you want to check one out. That is an affiliate link, so I get a cut and
meow meow meow. 8, 9, 10. Frick. Man, they're all expensive. There's no one selling them for cheap anymore. I might as well get something better than that. It's been 2 years. Maybe a reputable brand like Asus. Yo, I haven't refurbished or built in almost 3 years. It's gonna be 3 years already. No, maybe I'll message the people I sold PCs too, if those are still working. I hope they use like surge protectors for them. I've always used surge protectors. Oh frick. Come on, man. Why you keep on friendly firing? Come on. Oh, what? No, come on, man. I can stay up for like 3 more hours. I'm gonna be wasting it playing video games. Meow, 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 meow. Oh wow, someone wants to play with me. Wow. Wow, they included me in their team. That's nice. Oh frick, then there's a repeat. I was checking out things in my room, so I failed. So anyway, I want to talk about my past, I think 2 days, both days I bought bananas. I don't know if they're different kinds of bananas, but I mean, a hand of bananas is way better than, a pack of sick. Oh man, I don't wanna burst anyone's bubble. I'm just speaking for myself. Every time I speak for myself, it's like I offend people. Anyway, I find one of my superiors very attractive. I shouldn't be talking about things at work because corporate secrecy and being a decent person. I'm gonna be careful about what info I talk about, even if it's not work or client related. About personal stuff and being people, not just being employees. Anyway, hey yo, check this out. I think he's wearing the Molly pouches on his belt. I know that sometimes, years ago with my Molly pistol holster, but not anymore. Anyway, I still have the aluminum, the handlebars I chopped. See, they're still here. People are leaving. Yeah, people are leaving, so I'm also gonna leave the queue. And people don't wanna play anymore. Oh, someone joined. I guess they just rejoined. So I never got to my idea of like smelting at home because I don't know if it's legal. I don't wanna get into any problem with the law. Yeah, I don't wanna get into any problem with the law. And then I think I'm gonna start growing my own stuff again. Just like I did back in high school. I actually used to grow lettuce, tomatoes. Yeah, lettuce and tomatoes. It's very good to talk about constructive things instead of being a downer all the time. And my ramblings are very random. You guys probably cannot keep track of it. Yeah, just a dumbass rambling on stream. Yeah, the team disbanded. What the frick? Okay. I got invited again. It's amazing how people still wanna play with me. Anyway, how much electric tape do I still have? The black one. I guess I'm running out on that one. Man, where did I put my black electric tape? Okay, right now I'm holding one of my 12 volt lights. This one is blue. I wanna set it up for the fish tank. You know, I have like neon day news, and I actually want, you know, people here to see them under blue light. But I have to check first, does this even work? Do I have extra cables, wires lying around here to check? Man, what are these people doing? They just keep on joining and rejoining. Leaving and rejoining. I can't wait for them. Oh wow, Foxhole has finished. Oh, I don't have connectors ready for this one. I'm talking about my blue light. How about my 12 volt battery? Where is it? I don't want to stand up. There we go, it works. Hell yeah. Although one of the bulbs has gone bad, still nice to know that it works with the correct polarity of the wires.
Let's roll. We must win.
Rush B.
Okay. Green doesn't rush B. Blue. 9, 10. Blue. Blue. Ay nako. Anong AFK ito?
Activating the bomb. Bomb has been planted.
Right now I wanna check how much how much a place is like profiting from something. You know, when I find out, I'll probably go, damn. Please don't say damn when you see the price. How much they... This is pretty... What the frick? What the frick? Is this for real? What the frick? You know, it's amazing how you can get products and they come with these and they're very cheap. I guess it's all about marketing. Like when I buy the shrink tubes and the O-rings. Yeah, you know, in my mind I was going, damn, when I saw the one in person. I think it was bigger than this. Something's wrong with this. Something's wrong with the price display. There you go. Man, these are very cheap compared to the one I saw. Like in person. That's nice. Well, to be fair, the one I saw was pretty big. I haven't made any big purchase since 2024, but you know, I'm not made of money. So I really try to make the most out of how few the things I have. I don't have many airsoft guns, but I have a lot of internal parts, and I like to test them. Different setups. You know, I guess part of me still has the reservation that I wanna become a gunsmith, like an airsoft technician. Maybe next time I will pass if I try out again. I mean, if I really wanted to pass, I would have like kept on going since 2024, but you know, I went for the BPO industry instead ever since. How big is this? It's a good thing that the consumers won't show for the rest of us to see. Anyway, these are pretty small. So I guess I might consider the ones I see in person, and then no matter how expensive they are. I mean, they're not expensive, but if I had the cheaper option, I'd always go for the cheaper option. I mean, 400 or 500 pesos is nothing if I'm gonna use it like forever. But if I can go for the cheaper option, then I would. That's not pretty big for my purpose. And I'm gonna put airsoft gears in it, and then I'll remove the divider so I can put pistons. This is not big enough. And I think I have two more like cheap power supplies for PCs lying around. You know, I think 200 watts. So I don't know if I'm gonna refurbish or build for resale. I'll see. I'll see. And I don't even have time or money for projects like that. No. I don't wanna build cheap PCs and then no one's gonna buy them. Yo, someone attempted to make pancakes. They also failed like I do. I'm not good at making pancakes at home. I think our pans are non-stick. Oh, I'm really telling you guys about stuff here, man. Frick. Glorified short plate and bacon. Beef misono. And stuff like that reminds me of a person who is very impractical. Even in eating, he's very impractical. Man, I can't believe it. Oh, sorry. No, I can't believe how impractical he is. It's like he always chooses prestige over practicality. You know, he's making things harder for himself. Damn. So I'm gonna tell you guys what he did one time. You know, the kind of impracticality he does. And I hope you learn from it, that you wouldn't emulate what he does. After the match, I mean the round.
Nice.
So anyway, we were eating at a place that serves, misono. And of course we eat it with chopsticks. So what he did was he freaking took his chopsticks and cut it all up. He freaking cut it up. That made it harder to actually eat it with chopsticks, So you have to pick up more pieces. Wow, he really made it hard for every one of us. I don't know. I don't know what his rationale was. Some people are just so obsessed with so obsessed with controlling things. Even when they don't know what they're doing. They always wanna do things their way. Even if there's no advantage to what they're doing. Maybe in his mind it's like he's turning them into bite-sized pieces. That would be fine if you were using spoon and fork. So you know I can be very judgmental. I mean, if you're making things worse for everyone else, then then I think it's just right to judge you. Because you're screwing everyone over. You know. Man, I wonder what he's gonna do with California Mackie. He's gonna try to freaking ruin it. Cut it up using chopsticks. What the frick? Oh, what is you doing? Oh no. Anyway, yeah.
Parasites. They're all around us, from birds' nests.
This is a psyop, man. That's just an Asian version of the other guy. Just kidding. Just kidding, guys.
The litter boxes to our brains. They can be surprisingly helpful, but plenty of them are harmful to the health of animals like us. Should we be worried about that? Well, I mean, some parasites aren't so bad to have around, and some of the organisms that live in our bodies are even good. So, first, if you're wondering what I could possibly mean by good parasite, here's 2012 Hank with some examples of the good, the bad, and the not so influential parasites.
So parasite, that's a strong word. Technically, a parasite is any organism that makes its living off of another organism. And sometimes they're bad, and sometimes they're not. Parasitism is a pretty clever strategy. They just sort of sneak in, they set up camp inside of a body, and then they can devour it from the inside out. Or they might not do any significant harm at all, or they might even help their host animal. There are many animals living inside of me right now that are actually helping me live a happy, healthy life, and there are also a bunch that I just don't notice and are completely unobtrusive. So I'm going to talk about these good guys first, and then a little later on I'm going to scare the adenoids out of your face by talking about those supervillain parasites that you do not want. So animals that live, inside of another animal but actually help them, those are called mutualistic.
Oh, it's the other guy. See, he has an Asian version.
Symbiotic relationships. And that's roughly the relationship that we have with the 100 trillion microbes that are living inside of us at any given moment. So 100 trillion, hard to really wrap your mind around that number. As scale, number of cells that you have with your DNA in them, in your body, about 10 trillion. I'm going to say this again for you. There are 10 times more bacteria cells in your body than you cells. Do your best not to let this freak you up, because those are really, really important little animals living in you, and they make your life way better. Some scientists are going so far as to call this the human microbiome. We're our own biome. So much so that some scientists have gone so far as to name this human microbiome, that is the ecosystem of animals that lives inside of us, our forgotten organ. So, what are these things doing to earn their keep? Well, I'm glad you asked.
Anyway, I still have like a pair of knitted socks. I think I'm gonna use these. Nope, these are freaking small. Yeah, these won't work. Yeah, I know.
Nice.
Meow meow meow. Oof. 9, 10. Good job.
That they kill harmful bacteria in our noses, they form a protective coating on our skin, and the vast majority of them live in our intestines, doing really useful stuff like helping us break down the food that we can't digest by ourselves, making vitamins biologically available to us, teaching our immune systems not to freak the frick out over stuff that doesn't matter, and killing off the harmful bacteria that often find their way into our guts. Without them, our lives would be miserable, and I'm not going to tell you how miserable, I'm just going to say that adult diapers would be involved. They're so important that doctors are now diagnosing people with bad gut bacteria. And they're putting good gut bacteria into the people through what's called fecal transplants, which is exactly what it sounds like. I talk about it more in my obesity video. But not all of the animals that live inside us are super good, awesome animals. Some of them are just meh. We provide a lot of food, transportation, and lodging for a lot of animals that basically do absolutely nothing to us. This is called commensal symbiosis, when one of the participants benefits and the other one, it doesn't care. An example of this being the eyelash mite or follicle mite that basically lives anywhere that there's hair on your face. Basically, these tiny little arthropods just hang onto the base of your hair follicle and eat the oils that are excreted by your sebaceous glands, and that might seem gross and sort of not cool to you, but it's not really affecting you in any way, so I suggest you just deal with it. Besides, you're gonna have to save your big freak-out guns for where we're headed to right now. Be advised, the rest of this video is moderately gross and may not be suitable for all audiences, especially those who suffer from delusional parasitosis, which, by the way, is a real thing. Objectively, parasites are pretty awesome. I mean, they're tiny, generally, but they're skiing and they're clever and they can take down an animal much bigger than it. Parasites that feed on humans, the bad sorts of parasites, can be organized into a few different groups. We have the protozoans, the worms, the crawly bugs, and category number 4, freaky stuff. So let's start with the protozoans. Now, protozoa, which you may have heard of, are one-celled organisms, a lot of which can kind of move around on their own, get into the host through drinking contaminated water, or through the saliva of a tick or a mosquito that bites you, etc. And once these bad guys are in your gut, or your blood, or whatever, their single mission is to take you down. Take, for instance, Naegleria fowleri, also known as the brain-eating amoeba. This guy is found in bodies of fresh water that stay pretty warm all year. And this is why I live in Montana. So basically, this little guy spots you swimming around in some tepid lake or river somewhere and crawls over to you and wiggles its way right up your nose. From there, it works up to the olfactory bulbs of your forebrain and starts to feed on your nerve tissue. And then your brain starts to swell up, and then 98% of the time, you die. In 2011, 2 people died because they were using contaminated water to irrigate their sinuses with neti pot. So always remember to boil your neti pot water, especially if you live in Louisiana. Anyway, there are a bunch of other diseases that you probably heard of that are caused by parasitic amoeba, African sleeping sickness, giardia, malaria, toxoplasmosis. And this brings us to the second type of parasite, the worms, which are arguably the worst. These are the ones which I highly recommend you do not Google, because parasitic worms are in it to win it. And when I say win it, I mean breed so many worms that they fill your whole body up and start coming out your nose or your butt. So good news, if you live in the developed world and you have like power outlets and hot water and an internet connection, you probably don't have any chance of getting any of these worms. But many people in the developing world have to deal with these kinds of things every single day because they don't have access to clean food and water like we do. They're more likely, because of lack of plumbing, to be in more contact with human feces, and they live in a part of the world where a mosquito bite can lead to elephantiasis. Ah, yes, elephantiasis, or lymphatic filariasis, an infectious tropical disease caused by parasitic roundworms that are passed from person to person through mosquitoes. The worms can cause unbelievably horrifying amounts of swelling in the legs, arms, breasts, and genitals of their victims. Elephantiasis, it turns out, is one of the leading causes of disability worldwide. So the next type of parasite, of course, is the crawly bugs, which is my classification for parasites that feed on you from the outside, like your bed bugs, or your scabies, or your body lice, or your genital crabs, that kind of thing. Now, in my opinion, these things are way better than the worms or the protozoa, because they're way less likely to kill you, but they are pretty gross. In fact, just talking about them makes me feel like there's things crawling on me, and this is where the word delusional parasitosis comes in. That disease which has nothing to do with parasites except that you think you have them because you've been hearing about them, and it makes your skin crawl. And finally, we have number 4, the last category of parasites, the freaky ones. And there are lots of other kinds of parasites as well, of course, like the botfly, which lays its eggs under your skin, where they hatch and then feed on you until they're ready to erupt, as it were. And then there's the candiru, a tiny parasitic catfish that lives in the Amazon River and loves the smell of urine. If you're in the Amazon River and peeing, which I suggest you do not do, the candiru may sniff you out, swim up your urethra, and camp out there until it is surgically removed. And these, my friends, are the tenets of your body. And I hope that you have them, the good ones at least, and the bad ones, well, let's just get them away from us.
I have some good news. We learned more about the candiru since filming this video and made another video all about how very unlikely it is that you can have a fish swim up your urethra. Yay! But what other intimate locations are these parasites trying to nestle into? How about an animal's nest, right next to the animal's own babies? Here's how parasites infiltrate a nursery and how some birds manage to stay wise to these parasitic ways.
Raising kids is a big job, and one that costs a lot of energy. But what if you could just drop your kids off at someone else's place and let them have the responsibility? Well, there are some animals that do just that. They're called brood parasites, and they lay their eggs in other animals' nests and let them do all the hard work. There's a kind of evolutionary arms race between these hosts and parasites. Hosts try to remove parasite eggs from their nests, but the parasite species often have ways to trick hosts into keeping them. The cuckoo catfish, for example, is a brood parasite of cichlids, a family of diverse fish found around the world that rear their young in their mouths. The cuckoo catfish is what's known as an obligate parasite, meaning that they're no longer capable of raising their own young. When the female cichlid lays her eggs, the catfish quickly swims in, eats some of them, and deposits her own eggs. The cichlid then scoops up the catfish's eggs along with her remaining brood and takes care of all of them in her mouth until they hatch. But the cichlid's eggs won't be around for long. The young catfish hatch first and eat them. Then the mother cichlid takes care of the catfish's babies. She has no idea that they are not hers. The cuckoo paper wasp does something similar, leaving its eggs in the nest of other species of paper wasp. Cuckoo wasps are also obligate parasites, so if the queen can't find a host nest, she won't lay any eggs that season. If she is successful, though, her larvae actually attract more attention from host workers than their own larvae. Scientists think the parasites somehow give the "we're hungry" signal more often and more forcefully than the host larvae. That signal is very important for a young wasp. When they grow up, the ones that are fed the most will be reproducers instead of workers. You might have noticed that all the examples we've talked about so far have cuckoo in their names. That's because cuckoo birds, like the recurring character Dino over on SciShow Kids, are probably the most famous brood parasites. The European common cuckoo is especially well known for leaving its eggs in other birds' nests. Cuckoo birds, like the cuckoo wasp and catfish, also can't take care of their own young, so their only hope of successful reproduction is to rely on their hosts. This sneaky bird looks a lot like a raptor, so it scares away the host birds for long enough to drop an egg in their nest and leave. If the parasitic egg isn't detected and pushed out of the nest by the host bird, then once it hatches, it'll push the host's eggs out of the nest. It'll even push out the host chicks if they've already hatched. The adult...
Yeah, that kind of makes me guilty about how I complain about my life.
Don't seem to notice, or if they do, there's nothing they can do about it. So few, if any, of the...
I mean, So what I do is like I put myself down, you know, as if I'm so disadvantaged, and then I blame that for not being the best version of myself.
Host's chicks survive. Another type of bird, the parasitic honey guide chick, will take this one step further. It'll actually stab the host chicks to death with its beak. But the host parent bird can easily toss an egg out of a nest, so why don't host birds get rid of the intruders? Well, sometimes they do. Pied wagtails and red-faced cisticolas, for example, are experts at spotting eggs that don't belong to them and will throw them out of their nests. But some cuckoos have eggs that look like their host's eggs, so the host bird might not realize the invading egg is there. Some host birds have other options. Reed warbler communities try to stop brood parasites from invading in the first place by using alarm calls to warn their neighbors when cuckoos are nearby. Superb fairy wrens use a much more complicated tactic. They teach their chicks a secret password while the chicks are still in their eggs. Each female has a unique call that they share with their eggs, and when the chicks hatch, they use the same call. The cuckoo chicks that invade the wren nests can't replicate the call, so they don't get fed. But for the host bird, sometimes it's not even worth trying to get rid of the brood parasites. In some species of cuckoo and in the brown-headed cowbird, if the host bird removes the parasite's eggs, the invading parent bird will come back and destroy the host's eggs. So the host can raise the cuckoo's chicks and hope that at least one of its own chicks makes it to adulthood, or it can risk losing everything. Talk about high-stakes parenting.
Like European changeling folklore, these animals don't always realize that their own offspring have been replaced by parasite babies. Truly nightmare fuel. Now, the next level of nightmares on our list are fueled by parasites that take over the bird's mind so they can't fight back anymore. That process looks like this.
Oh, did you not know that there are parasites that can take over your brain? So, well, here's the thing. So some parasites aren't content to just set up shop and like consume the body of their host. They need their host to do something specific to continue their life cycle. And because parasites are so crafty,
this is gonna include the worm that infects snails and slugs.
Can do this by taking over the brains of their hosts. Take, for example, the green-banded broodsack, a kind of worm that likes to live inside of birds. But in order to get into a bird, it has to first get into a bird's food. And this is where the snail comes in. Certain snails love to eat bird poop. You know, to each his own. And bird poop is, where green-banded broodsack larvae end up after infecting a bird. So a snail strolls by and sees, oh, awesome, some delicious bird crap sitting on a leaf. But little does it know that poo has a baby little worm larva in it that's going to hijack its brain, turn it into a zombie, and drive its body around like a go-kart. The worm uses the snail to create this unbelievable scene just to get the attention of the bird. Basically, the worm will drive the zombie snail to a conspicuous location where a bird is sure to see it, and then it jams itself up into the snail's eye tentacle and puts on a laser show, making the snail's head look like a giant, delicious maggot. So a bird eats the snail, and the whole cycle starts over. But I'll see you one of those and raise you a hairworm. These little bastards work their way into insects like grasshoppers through the water that the insects are drinking, and they live inside of those insects until they are fully grown. But when it's time for these hairworms to mate, they need to get back into the water, and so you know what it does? It secretes proteins that interfere with the grasshopper's brain chemistry, overrides its entire existence, every fiber of its being, and commands the grasshopper to commit suicide. It makes the grasshopper jump into the nearest body of water where it drowns, and the worm is super happy, crawls out of its butthole, and goes on to mate with other disgusting butthole worms. Fortunately for us, not a lot of parasites are able to deal with the marvelously complicated thing that we've got sitting on top of our necks. Oh, but there is just one thing. So there's this protozoan called Toxoplasma gondii, which we're just going to call Toxo for short. Cats poop out the Toxo babies, but then cats don't eat cat poop because that would be gross, unlike dogs. But the things that do eat cat poop, for whatever reason, turn out to be rats. But then the Toxo has a problem of how to get from the rat back into a cat. So the Toxo interferes with the brain chemistry of the rat and switches off the little lever that says, do not go near cats. Cats will eat you. And instead, it tells the rat brain, you love the cats. You love those kitty. Aren't they? They're so charming and adorable. Wouldn't you just like to spoon a cat? And first time a rat tries to spoon a cat, you know what happens. It gets chomped. And success! But here's the thing. People also spend a lot of time around cats, and we're actually pretty similar to rats when it comes to brain chemistry, as upsetting as that might be. And there is research that suggests that the gigantic jump in cases of schizophrenia in the mid to late 19th century occurred at the same time as a gigantic jump in cat ownership. Indeed, some studies have shown a link between the amount of Toxo and the amount of schizophrenia, suggesting that this little jerk might be interfering with human brain chemistry.
As if we needed another reason to never eat poop. But as long as you're not sitting down to a dinner of your cat's poop, then you'll be safe from toxoplasmosis, right? Well, those parasites might be more common than you think. Here's more on how they can affect our brains from our SciShow Psych channel.
Come on.
Now this is a common stereotype. The single lady who lives next door and you hear the meows echoing through the walls, or maybe it's your aunt or grandma with a whole clouder of cats. Whoever it is, she is known as the crazy cat lady. And stereotypes or not, there could be some actual psychological risks from hanging around so many kitties if just one of them is harboring a parasite. See, there's a parasite that sexually produces only inside cats, and it's called Toxoplasma gondii. And if that parasite gets into a human, it can result in a full-blown infection called toxoplasmosis, which could be bad news for your body and your mind. T. gondii have really tough eggs, and when animals like rats or birds eat them, even just through contaminated water, they become intermediate hosts. Once that bird or rat makes its way inside of a cat, however that happens, in the kitty's gut, the parasite will mature, mate, and sexually reproduce. And eventually the cat will poop out more eggs, which continues the cycle. In a human or other intermediate host, T. gondii can still hatch, but only reproduce asexually. They're dangerous, though, because parasites can enter your bloodstream and infect almost any kind of cell, including immune cells. An immune cell is like a Trojan horse, letting T. gondii sneak around and invade more specialized tissues like muscle cells and brain cells. Once parasites get into your central nervous system, they can hide out in cysts and infect you for life. But you might not show any symptoms, or if you do, it's just like a mild flu. Some estimates say over a third of all humans have toxoplasmosis without knowing it. As a human's immune system gets weaker over time, the parasitic cysts can cause some more severe symptoms. An infected person can develop muscle weakness, poor coordination, seizures, or permanent damage to the brain and eyes, which is not great. And if a pregnant woman is infected, she could pass the parasites on to her baby. On top of that, there's evidence that links T. gondii infection to psychological conditions too. One study monitored the mental health of nearly 46,000 women from Denmark who had their newborn babies screened for T. gondii antibodies, which were passed on. The researchers then followed up on the mother's medical and psychiatric information for up to 14 years and found that infected women seemed to have more risk of depression, anxiety, and self-harm later in life. Many studies suggest that T. gondii affects how a couple of different neurotransmitters work too. These are the chemicals that travel between neurons all over the body, not just in the brain. And when neurotransmitters get imbalanced, that can lead to physical and mental illnesses. One 2011 mouse study from the University of Leeds showed that T. gondii infection in brain cells led to higher dopamine levels because the parasite makes an enzyme that controls how dopamine is made. Dopamine helps regulate parts of the brain tied to pleasure, mostly the amygdala and the nucleus accumbens. But too much dopamine flooding the brain has been linked with illnesses that distort thoughts and moods, like psychosis, schizophrenia, and bipolar disorder. A more recent study in 2016 showed that T. gondii infection can also mess up a protein that transports glutamate, which is usually an excitatory neurotransmitter that makes neurons more easily activated. Failed transporters lead to a glutamate buildup in the space between neurons all over the nervous system, like a chemical traffic jam.
Hey man, good morning. Yes, hello. I'm actually close to leaving now.
This is called excitotoxicity, and it basically overstimulates the nerve cells, causing parts of them to go haywire and start breaking down. So dysregulation of glutamate is linked with neurodegenerative diseases like ALS, multiple sclerosis, Parkinson's, and Alzheimer's. And another study from 2012 found that parasite-hijacked immune cells start releasing a bunch of GABA. GABA is usually an inhibitory neurotransmitter, which means it can keep neurons from firing as much. When it interacts with the amygdala, for instance, GABA can help control feelings of fear and anxiety. So way too much GABA could presumably make someone feel fearless, like how severely infected mice seem to be less afraid of cats and get eaten more often. That way the parasites can continue their life cycles. But even with all this research, other studies have suggested that there isn't a significant association between toxoplasmosis and mental disorders. A study from Duke University took blood samples from just over 800 people to look for T. gondii antibodies and did other surveys and tests to collect data about their behavior. About 28% of their participants tested positive for parasite antibodies, but the researchers didn't find a significant association with schizophrenia, depression, or other mental disorders, or any link to impulsive activities like crime or car accidents. So research in this field is tricky because animal models like mice aren't entirely comparable to humans, but it'd also be super unethical to do controlled experimental studies on humans, like giving people toxoplasmosis and monitoring their brains. But there is no reason to ditch your cats. They bring happiness and cuddles. There is so many positive health outcomes associated with having a fuzzy thing in your house. Just be careful around their poop, like make sure it doesn't go in your mouth. Try to keep them from eating mice and birds, if that's possible, and make sure your food is cooked properly so you don't accidentally eat any uncooked parasite eggs.
Alright, so I guess I'll just get a dog instead of a cat, and then I'll be safe from parasites, right? Well, not so fast. If you have a dog, you probably give them heartworm medication to keep them healthy. Well, heartworms are also parasites. And you guessed it, humans can get heartworms too. Here's how it happens and why you might not have known about human heartworms.
If you're a dog owner, chances are you've heard of heartworm disease. And if you aren't familiar with it, well, brace yourself for some serious nightmare fuel. It's basically exactly what it sounds like. An infestation of worms, collectively known as dirofilaria, in a dog's heart. These parasitic nematodes are transmitted by mosquitoes, and different species are found all over the world. The most common in North America is Dirofilaria ematis. The adult parasites live and reproduce in the dog's pulmonary arteries, eventually clogging the chambers in the right side of the heart. This leads to all kinds of nasty complications like fatigue, coughing up blood, and ultimately, heart failure. And usually, if your dog has enough worms to show symptoms, getting rid of them is really hard. That's why vets encourage pet owners to use preventative medications that decrease their risk of infection and lessen the spread of disease. And it turns out that lowering the risk of transmission is good for dogs and people, because humans can be infected with heartworm too. Now, before you freak out too much, heartworm infections in people don't cause symptoms nearly as bad as they do in dogs. And they're super rare. Fewer than 120 cases have been reported in the United States since 1941. The main difference is that our immune systems aren't as easily tricked by the worms. You see, when a mosquito bites an animal with a heartworm infection, they suck up microfilariae, the earliest larval stage of the worm. Those mature through their next larval stages inside the mosquito and then migrate to its proboscis, the stabby part it uses to suck up blood, and arguably its least endearing feature. When that mosquito goes for another blood meal, be it from a dog or human, the larvae bust out and get onto the skin. Then they, no joke, crawl around until they find a way in, like the tiny hole made by the mosquito. From there, they have to wiggle their way through the skin tissue to get into small blood vessels so they can travel around the bloodstream, eventually making their way to the pulmonary arteries and the lungs. Inside the body, they grow and mature for about 6 months until finally, the mature worms reproduce and release their little microfilariae back into the bloodstream, starting the whole process over again. Now, where dogs and humans differ is that usually the larvae never make it into the bloodstream. This is probably because the larvae transmitted by the mosquito are in their third stage of development, or the L3 stage. And studies of human infections with related species of nematodes have shown that our immune system is really good at recognizing and mounting a response against parasites when they're at this stage. In fact, this is probably why human heartworm infections are considered rare to begin with. It's not that we're rarely infected, it's just that we rarely stay infected long enough for anyone to notice. So sometimes a rogue larva does find its way into a person's lungs. But even when this happens, the worm never gets a chance to—
Hold on, I gotta get my phone. Hold on. Anyway, I wanna ramble about a skit or a video I saw. So it was about, the flood control and stuff, and, one of those influencers was like dancing. Instead of getting luxury cars, why don't you just make up a business to make your money look legit? So, money laundering. It's very obvious that those people don't know that government employees or officials are required to divest their businesses. So another meme showing I don't want to say ignorance, I want to say not knowing. Yeah.
to grow and reproduce the way it would in dogs. The immune system always spots it and sends cells to destroy it. This destruction process forms nodules in the lung tissue, which is usually how we end up figuring out that someone had heartworm infection. These nodules, called coin lesions, are rarely harmful. They're mostly just annoying because other deadlier conditions also cause them, so doctors have to take them seriously. As for why our immune systems always end up finding and killing those worms, well,
Well, it probably has as much to do with bacteria as it does with the parasite itself. Filarial nematodes like Dirofilaria have an intimate partnership with bacteria called Wolbachia. The bacteria live inside the worm's cells, and it's a mutually beneficial relationship. The worms provide the bacteria with amino acids for growth, while the Wolbachia are essential for the development of the worm's larvae. And the bacteria also play an important role in the parasite's ability to infect a host animal. Proteins produced by Wolbachia cause the host's immune system to start fighting a bacterial infection, a type of immune response called a Th1 response, even though there isn't a bacterial infection going on. Now here's why this is important. Th1 responses are counterbalanced by immune responses called Th2 responses. They basically do opposite things. Th1 responses promote inflammation, while Th2 responses dampen it. So the presence of Wolbachia can shift the immune system toward more of a Th1 response, but the Th2 responses are what our immune systems use to attack worms. So by inducing the Th1 response, the bacteria seem to essentially distract the immune system, allowing the worms to sneak around and proliferate. Some scientists even think a strong Th1 response helps the larval worms grow and mature. Also, dogs really get the short end of the stick here, because studies have shown that Th1 response is increased when the host has more microfilariae in their system. So once a few worms have set up shop and started breeding, the dog's immune system gets even worse at fighting them off. So humans can totally be infected with heartworm, but the reason the disease hits dogs way harder has to do with how our different immune systems react to the worms and their bacterial allies. And that's why it's really important to talk to your vet about heartworm meds for your pets. Your furry friends will breathe a little easier, and so, presumably, will you.
So these parasites don't usually affect us much as long as we have a strong immune response. So I've talked about terrifying parasites and parasites you don't even know you have, but let's finish on a high note with some good parasites.
If your doctor told you that you were infected with worms, your first question would probably be, how quickly can I get rid of those worms in me?
Yo, so, yeah, I've seen this part from a different video of theirs, I think, earlier. Man, they all like to wear glasses.
T26 na. Hindi na siya late. McDo Snack and Match na yan with the new Smoky Melt Chicken Sandwich. 59 solo, 79 combo. Snacks! Winner! Snack and Match na McDo.
Walang cooling crystals. Para fresh. Switch to Colgate Fresh Confidence.
Hey, this is Dr. Bear. In this quick video, I want to talk to you about a very important topic.
Well, you know, I think I saved more than 9,000 pesos by buying something early, like last year. I'm very happy. I'm very happy I got it. Yeah, and it still works. Hell yeah, brother. Hell yeah.
Doesn't get talked about a lot. A lot of doctors never mention this. And it's the fact that you might just have intestinal parasites or worms. Ugh, I know, right? Up to a third of people in Western society, in the America, US, Canada, Australia, UK, have intestinal parasites or worms. And a lot of times you don't get tested for this, and this is a big deal that we need to talk about. First, please take 1 second and click the subscribe button, please. It helps me reach more people, and if you'll click the little bell icon right beside the subscribe button, then you'll get a notification every time I have a bright idea. Now let's talk about worms, and if you got them, and if you do, what to do about it, okay? This is somewhat of a gross topic, This is a very gross topic, but I think it's vital because there are so many people walking around, people that we know who have intestinal parasites, and they can either be worms or they can be ova, the eggs of worms, or they can be protozoan, just single-celled organisms. But nonetheless, they're parasites and they're living inside your body, and they can really give you a world of symptoms and cause you a lot of problems until you figure out what's going on and fix the situation. Now, the symptoms of having intestinal parasites can range from the very obvious, like itching, severe itching on the other end, you get my drift, or seeing worms where you've, after you've had a bowel movement and you see worms. That's the obvious way that you can be tested. There's a couple.
You know, I highly recommend eating raw onions and then observing your droppings after. If you see things squirming around, little things. You know, as big as fingernail clippings or smaller.
Of tests that doctors can do at the doctor's office, and usually that'll catch some of the worms, but if you have particular types of parasites, there's really no test unless the doctor goes inside your colon with a colonoscope or does surgery. They can't really find the worms or any evidence of them. And so you could be walking around right now with intestinal parasites, with worms in your intestines and not even know it, because some of the symptoms are very, very vague. Chronic fatigue, chronic aches and pains, chronic abdominal bloating, abdominal pain that's very vague, that, you know, CAT scans can't see worms, ultrasounds can't see worms, and so you could have had the full workup, or so you thought, and still have intestinal parasites. I know, right? So I'm going to tell you what to do about that later in the video. The diagnosis, like I said, sometimes is very straightforward. Sometimes you see worms, or you have severe itching, or some of the tests your doctor can do in the doctor's office show up positive. But here's the problem. Here's the huge problem, and this is a problem that really pisses me off, okay? And it really upsets me. Big Pharma bought up the rights to the anti-parasite medications, okay? Used to, there were several manufacturers, and they made the medicines albendazole and mebendazole. And with those, back when I was training, for instance, back in my residency, when someone came to the clinic and we diagnosed them with worms or parasites, you could write them 1 or 2 pills, just 1 or 2 pills that they would take of albendazole or mebendazole, and it literally cost $1. That's how cheap the medication was, okay? And they were cured. That was it. They were done. Now, since Big Pharma, some of the big pharmaceutical houses, and I'm not going to mention any names because they're a little sue-happy lately, but they've bought up the rights to these 2 generic drugs. They've been generic for decades, okay? They literally cost pennies to make a dose that would cure you of your worms. But now, since these pharmaceutical houses have bought up these rights, one treatment for one person can cost...
Man, I'm just here to learn about biology and parasites, not about freaking Big Pharma, yo. Damn! Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna take melatonin later, you know, it's pretty late. You know, I'm only gonna get like 4 hours of sleep anyway. I know I did take a nap before the stream, so yeah, it's okay.
Each night, typically multiple times a night, we do something incredible. From the comfort of our beds, without even moving, we travel to another world, the realm of dreams. Here, the most wonderful, the most horrifying, and, let's be honest, the most bizarre thoughts our subconscious minds can come up with are turned into lifelike adventures, most of which we forget within minutes of awakening, but some of which stick with us and can even greatly impact our waking lives. Very roughly estimated, we spend about 7% of our lives total dreaming, an average of about 6 years. Why? Why are our minds wired to take us on these nightly adventures? Furthermore, what do our dreams mean? What do they say about us? Why do you wake up feeling that you're falling, or dream that your teeth are falling out so often? Have you ever had something happen in real life, and couldn't quite shake the feeling that you had dreamt of it before? And what's going on with things like lucid dreaming, sleepwalking, and night terrors? Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to Fire of Learning. In this video, we will answer all these questions and more. If you're getting deja vu, it's not because you dreamed about this video before seeing it. It's because we made a documentary about dreams in 2019, but have decided to redo it to improve both the entertainment and information quality. Before we begin, we would like to thank the original patrons on that video, Avast User, Virtual Happiness Syndrome, Evgeny Zakharov, Zach and Danny, Shimmerzen, and Gabriel Lund, as well as Bill Hampton, for being our most recent supporter on Patreon. They join these supporters listed here who help to make videos like this possible. Now then, let's get to it. You're a teenager again, back in high school. Why and how you don't even question. You are simply there, in the school halls among your old classmates and teachers. It's the first day of the year, and you have to find your history class, which is of course taught by your manager at your current job. However, you're having some trouble finding it. You're wandering the busy, endless halls trying to read the numbers and words on the doors, but they aren't quite legible. You're alone now. Everyone is in class except for you. Almost a whole school year has gone by, and you haven't made it to history class once. You completely forgot about it. This is terrible. This is a disaster. You're going to have to repeat it. You're going to fail senior year, and you won't graduate. It's night now. Everyone's gone home, but you're still in the school, alone. Or are you alone? You can't see it, but you feel the presence. Something else there, aware of you. You look over and find it. A faceless figure coming towards you. Its intentions you can feel are hostile.
Damn! Is this about like a night terror? Nightmare?
You try to run, to fight back, but you can't. It's as if you're stuck or paralyzed. Just as the figure is nearly upon you, you wake up. Does this sound familiar? Though we've made this dream up, we've based it on the kinds of things people all over the world report dreaming about each night. Being back in the past, contending with a fear of failure, searching for something you just can't find, being chased or attacked and finding yourself paralyzed. All of this being deeply serious in the moment, but upon awakening, realizing it was all quite absurd. You could call it a fairly typical dream. Dreams are rarely just something like sequences of random, meaningless, disconnected images and sounds and such things. They're often, not always, but often lifelike experiences which are perceived in the first person. You're often doing something in your dreams, an active participant in them. Dreams tend to involve people, places, concerns, and experiences familiar to us in waking life, though they are often altered and interchanged in unusual ways. Indeed, though dreams can feel incredibly lifelike, they certainly aren't always reflections of reality, generally being a bit, or very, surreal, fantastic, nonsensical, phantasmagoric. Often, dreams strongly provoke our most basic emotions: fear, anger, sadness, embarrassment, joy, amusement, amazement. The study of dreams is called onirology, from the ancient Greek word for dream, oneiron. Dreams have captivated humanity for all history, but it is only within the past few centuries, and especially century, that science has been able to make significant progress into understanding what is going on in our minds when we dream. To understand why we dream, it would be helpful to start by understanding why we even sleep in the first place. Unfortunately, this is itself a bit of a mystery. It's very clear that we need sleep. We spend about a third of our day, and thus our lives, asleep. Trying to get around sleeping can be detrimental to our health and happiness, especially after long periods of deprivation. Scientists have determined that many crucial things happen during sleep. The body heals and regenerates. Tissue is repaired and the immune system is bolstered. More importantly for the purposes of this video, there's quite a bit of activity that goes on in the brain during sleep. The brain is never truly quite off, in the sense of complete inactivity during sleep. In fact, in some phases especially, it's quite active, comparable to being awake in fact, though the brain's activity does change when you're asleep, as you would expect. Sleep seems to be crucial for organizing memories and information in our heads. The brain is hard at work, strengthening what is deemed important to preserve it for the long term and discarding what is deemed useless. That will be important later on. While this explains why sleep is important, it doesn't explain why it was ever necessary in the first place. Why is it best to enter an 8-hour period of dormancy to do these things? Why aren't we wired to keep going 24/7 and regenerate, heal, consolidate memories, etc., while awake, or even in some kind of conscious, vigilant resting period? That's what no one is completely sure of, though there are several interesting ideas. It's counterintuitive to think that lying unconscious in the pre-modern world, particularly in the wilderness, for hours at a time on a regular basis would be a good idea. But sleep is necessary not just for humans, but many, it seems most animals. Determining how many creatures sleep is complicated because it depends on how sleep is defined. We won't get into all of that here, but almost all animals at least go through something like sleep. Scientists also believe that sleep is a very ancient idea. Not only did the dinosaurs likely sleep, but creatures that came long before them seem to have as well. The fact that sleep is so common and persistent suggests it's a winning strategy. Tell that to your boss the next time you're late for work. You were caught up focusing on a winning strategy. Maybe they like the sound of it so much they ask you to get back to it. Regardless of why we sleep, human sleep works like this. There are two main phases of sleep: REM and NREM. NREM sleep is further divided into 3 stages: NREM 1, NREM 2, and NREM 3. Going through each of the 4 stages is called a sleep cycle. Adults go through one sleep cycle about once every 90 to 120 minutes, and so we have about 4 or 5 sleep cycles a night. REM stands for Rapid Eye Movement. NREM then stands for Non-Rapid Eye Movement. Why? Well, you may have noticed that when people sleep, for certain periods, their eyes will dart around randomly. This is where REM sleep gets its name. It's a strong indication that an individual is in that phase. We'll explain why this happens in a minute. Our sleeping experience is a bit different in each sleep stage, so much so that you might actually even be able to tell which phase you or someone else was in when awakened. Let's now go through each stage and see how much you can relate to. Let's go to sleep, and more importantly, enter the world of dreams. NREM 1 is the first phase. This is a light sleep, which marks the transition from wakefulness to sleep. You may not even feel fully asleep in this phase, but your awareness of the external world begins to drift. It is usually in this phase, or NREM 2, that you might experience that sudden falling sensation that startles you awake. This is called a hypnic jerk. They are real jerks, aren't they? It's not clear why it happens. It probably has something to do with the transition into the paralysis we experience in deeper sleep. Perhaps the brain precociously testing the muscles to see if we're there yet. Or it's our reflexes misinterpreting relaxing as falling. It is also in NREM 1 that we might experience hallucinations, called hypnagogic hallucinations. You might see things, like squiggly lines or something like TV static, or hear things, like voices or banging that isn't there. This is also common and normal. For the record, hallucinations upon waking are called hypnopompic hallucinations. But do we dream in NREM 1? You might have heard that scientists say that it takes about an hour and a half before we start dreaming at night. But if you've ever dreamt during a quick 15-minute nap, you might be inclined to question this. And you'd be exactly right. But this is not exactly what scientists say. Dreaming is possible in any stage of sleep, including NREM 1.
This video is pretty long. I'm obviously not gonna finish it. I should be asleep in 1.5 hours. But
However, what scientists say is that the most vivid, story-like, emotional dreams are what are typically common later on in sleep, about an hour and a half in. We'll see why this is the case in a moment. As far as NREM 1 goes, you may very well have dreams in this phase, but they tend to be, again, much less vivid and lifelike. If you wake a person in this stage, they might even call it thinking, albeit disorganized, unusual thinking. After about 5 to 10 minutes, you transition into NREM 2. You are now fully asleep, although not deeply yet. Your heart rate and breathing slow and your body temperature lowers slightly. You will spend about half your time asleep in NREM 2. Again, you may dream in this phase, but this tends to be more like an unconscious thinking or daydreaming. Not quite lifelike dreams just yet. We then transition into NREM 3, also called N3 or slow wave sleep, because of the readings on electroencephalograms, or EEGs, in this phase. NREM 3 accounts for about 20% of your time asleep. This is deep sleep, the deepest sleep, in fact. People are hardest to awaken in this phase, and when they do wake up, they're most likely to be confused and foggy for a moment. It is typically the most restful phase, when the body focuses most on...
People are actually easy to wake up during the REM sleep. They're like in a waking consciousness. It's when you're in the non-REM sleep that you're very hard to wake up. Yeah, because your body isn't even awake.
Healing and regeneration. Dreams are reported the least often in NREM 3, but they can happen, and they tend to be more like the unconscious mental wandering of NREM 1 and 2. NREM 3 is more famous for the other unusual things that can happen during it, including a number of...
And you can actually test this. But it would be unethical to test it on people who are freaking sleeping, and if you see them doing the rapid eye movement and you wake them, that would be freaking rude and unethical.
Prominent parasomnias. Parasomnias are, simply put, unusual behaviors and experiences that occur during sleep. An example is somnambulism, which is a fancy Latin way of saying sleepwalking. We might assume that sleepwalkers are acting out their dreams, but believe it or not, they usually aren't. Wake a sleepwalker, and they often have no recollection of dreaming and no idea what they were doing, even if they appear to have had a clear goal while sleepwalking. Now, some sleepwalkers do act out their dreams, but that is typically a very different situation from standard sleepwalking. We'll look more at that later. Another example of an NREM 3 parasomnia is night terrors. Night terrors are not the same thing as nightmares. The term nightmare is not universally defined, but it is basically a term for a bad dream. A night terror, believe it or not, is not closely associated with dreaming. A true night terror is when someone seems to enter into an intense panic in their sleep, even to the point of screaming and thrashing around. Wake them, and, like with standard sleepwalking, they often won't remember a dream. We'll talk more about parasomnias later, but for now, let's transition to the final stage of sleep. After NREM 3, we briefly re-enter NREM 2, but then enter REM sleep. This is where the real dreaming begins.
Before you wake up.
REM sleep is very different from the other three stages, which is why it's distinguished as its own phase. It is sometimes referred to as paradoxical sleep. This is because your heart rate, breathing, and temperature pick back up, and on EEGs, your brain activity appears very similar to how it is when you are awake. And yet, you're fast asleep, and in fact, difficult to awaken. Indeed, certain areas of the brain can even display more activity than during wakefulness, namely those concerned with memory, emotion, and vision. Something very important is going on in those regions during REM.
Yeah, keep depriving yourself of it and see what happens. So anyway, I'm aware that, taking split sleep sessions and only gives me one sleep cycle, but that's okay. One is enough. One complete is enough.
Therefore, perhaps, dreams. REM is the phase in which someone is most likely to report having been in a dream when awakened, about 82% of the time, according to a 2000 meta-analysis to be exact, compared to 42% in the NREM stages. Moreover, REM dreams are also typically more vivid, lifelike, emotionally intense, and longer. In essence, roughly speaking, an NREM dream is more like unconscious daydreaming. A REM dream is more like you're actually there. Indeed, during REM dreams, the subconscious mind is essentially convinced that you are there. Your motor cortex even, a main region of the brain associated with movement, is quite active during REM. This indicates that you are quite literally trying to physically move in the same ways that you are in your dreams. Why then do you not...
That's why sleep paralysis is pretty important, so you cannot act your dreams out. Imagine acting your dreams out. Freaking running around, running from something or trying to fight something that's not there,
get up and act out your dreams? because of what's called REM atonia. Your brainstem specifically paralyzes you in this stage.
Yep, sleep paralysis.
So that you don't do much beyond subtle twitching. This is very helpful in preventing you from jumping out your window under the belief that you're skydiving with a parachute. REM atonia is why you get that feeling that you can't run or move your arms or legs in a dream. That tends to occur towards the end of dreams, shortly before you wake up, doesn't it? When you're becoming aware of yourself and your surroundings, but aren't quite awake yet. Is it possible for this paralysis to not take effect, and for someone to literally act out their dreams while asleep? Yes, it is. Is the opposite possible? To be awake with this paralysis still in effect?
Oh,
yes, it is.
Oh my.
We'll talk more about those situations later. As the names...
That picture is kinda creepy. I'm scared. I'm freaking scared right now, guys.
...suggests, the eyes are exempted from this paralysis. As such, when a person's eyes move around during REM sleep, they are quite literally moving in response to dream content, as if they're actually there. For the record, the diaphragm is also exempted, so that you can breathe, because that's important. An area of the brain that is not very active during REM, however, is the prefrontal cortex, a primary area concerned with logical reasoning. This is a big part of why dreams are so bizarre and unusual, and why you don't question them in the moment. We spend about 20% of our sleep in REM, entering it 4 times throughout the night. Once the first stage of REM is completed, you go back into NREM 1 or 2, maybe even lightly awakening and then going back to sleep, and then the cycle starts over. The time spent in each phase changes throughout the night. In earlier sleep, you tend to spend more time in NREM 3, which is why sleepwalking, talking, night terrors, etc. are more often an early middle of the night thing. As sleep progresses, you spend more time in REM, which is why you may feel that you have more dreams in the early morning. In a full night's sleep, the first phase of REM will be about 10 minutes long, the last an hour. When dreams are reported in NREM 3, it is often more towards the end of sleep, likely because of the increasing influence of REM. Interestingly, the time spent in each stage changes as we age, as does the amount of sleep we need. Newborn babies spend about half their time sleeping in REM, which gradually decreases throughout childhood to, as we said, about 20% in adulthood. That is another clue about the purpose that REM may serve. As all of this suggests, most people dream every night, multiple times a night. In total, we spend about 2 hours a night dreaming. So why do so many people feel that they can't remember any of their dreams, or even that they don't dream at all? For someone to remember every dream they have every night is essentially unheard of. Most people forget the vast majority of their dreams. We tend to only remember them by chance or if they make an impression on us. And of those, typically those of the early morning, before awakening for the day. Anyone who has ever tried to meticulously record their dreams will likely have realized that they do indeed dream more than they thought. However, anyone who has done this also knows they have to record at least brief notes about it quickly, ideally immediately upon waking up, because the memory of the dream rapidly begins fading, even if you consciously acknowledge it and tell yourself you'll remember it. You can focus on a dream and remember it perfectly well when you wake up, and have lost it completely by breakfast. Our brains produce very little norepinephrine or serotonin, neurotransmitters involved in forming long-term memories, during REM, and regions of the brain concerned with making memories are themselves typically occupied doing other things during dreams rather than forming new memories. The brain puts little emphasis on remembering dreams and might even be specifically designed to forget them. Dreams can be so lifelike, unusual, and emotionally provocative that if we retained clear memories of them, it could easily cause problems. The point is that almost everyone has a heavily dream-filled night, but forgets the vast majority, or all of it, upon awakening in the morning, to the point where many people wonder if they even do dream. That being said, it would seem that some people really simply do not dream at all. This is a rare and poorly understood circumstance, but it seems that this can be a result of certain neurological issues or something disrupting sleep, especially REM sleep. We now have a basic understanding of how sleep works, how dreams fit into that process, and some clues as to what is going on in our brains during dreaming. Let's move on now to ask, what do people typically dream about? But before we do that, we would like to briefly mention that we hope you are enjoying this video so far, and that all of this talk about sleep hasn't put you to sleep. If you like what we do, please consider subscribing to support our channel, and keep up with more videos like this in the future. Now back to the video. It's your wedding day. There you are, the groom, standing up at the altar in front of all your family and friends. Here Comes the Bride begins to play, and accordingly, the bride begins to walk down the aisle. But then, she stops and gives you an odd look.
Okay. Let's end the stream there. No waifu for just kidding. So yeah, thank you so much for joining me. And yeah, 3 years no liquor. It wouldn't be possible if, if I wasn't put into detox 3 years ago. And I realized that I have a drinking problem and I shouldn't go back to it. Yeah, my life has been so much better since then. I can actually work. I'm not always late. I'm not absent. Yeah. And no more accidents, no more headaches. Yep. And I'm not destroying my liver or my kidneys. But I still am. With other things. But yeah. Yep. Thank you so much and bye for now. Bye bye. Night night for me.